It's really difficult sometimes to have a beautiful garden and to have pets in our yard. And dogs can be a real challenge when it comes to keeping gardens. They have their ways of patrolling the yard and running through things and playing, and there's nothing they like better than a good pile of compost or organic fertilizer to roll in so that they smell the same way. But over the years, I've found some ways to deal with gardening and have dogs too. And I've had dogs that are very easily trained. I was able to put stakes and string out around the perimeter of my garden. And Jessie learned very quickly that she was not supposed to go inside the stakes and string. And after a while, she learned how to walk between the rows of the garden and was definitely a great garden companion. I haven't had a dog since that was that easily trained, so I've decided that good fences make a better relationship with my pets. It is a good idea to keep in mind where dogs have their paths. If your dogs run the perimeter of the fence and that's just their way of doing things, it's probably best not to put a garden next to that fence. Just leave their paths and you'll notice where they spend a lot of time. Those are probably not your best locations for a garden. In fact, in the pathways, I just put some mulch down and make sure that that stays mulched so it's not a muddy mess. If you have an area next to the fence where you want to have plants and your dogs use that as a runway, maybe put those shrubs a little bit further away from the fence so the dogs still have access because they're doing their thing. They're guarding the perimeter of the property and watching out for strangers, and that's their job, so we'll let them do their job. Now, when you're mulching, make sure you're not using cocoa shell mulch that can have caffeine and theobromine that can be toxic to dogs, so stay away from that particular mulch, but any shredded native will work. One of the fence materials that I really like to use is this galvanized farm fencing. It comes in widths of 4 feet and 6 feet, actually heights of 4 feet and 6 feet, and then it comes in 20-foot lengths. It has 4x4 openings, or you can buy it with 4x6 openings, but if you have very small dogs, they could go through that. But it's very easy to use, and I use it to just go around my entire vegetable garden so that I have wooden stakes, wooden posts, and the fencing is attached to that. And then it becomes a trellis for my cucumbers and my beans. So that works out beautifully. But even in some of my beds that surround the house where dogs like to dig and bury themselves and make a hole in the flower beds, I've just put this up as edging along the fences. I tried some of the store-bought folding edging and attractive edging, but my dogs jumped over that. I found that I need about 30 inches to keep Zoe out of the flower bed. So with this, I can cut it to whatever height I need. And I use these green metal posts. They come in different lengths. And you'll put those in with either a hammer or a fence post hammer, the special fence post device, and I'll put a sock or a pad over the top so that I don't dent the top or knock the paint off so that it rusts. And you'll want to invest in a good pair of bolt cutters. You can also rent these to cut your fencing, but if you buy a 6-foot height fence, you can cut that in half and get 40 feet out of one piece of fencing. I use zip ties for putting the fence on, or you could use a plastic flexible tie that you can take on and off. So if you need to get in that garden bed and do some digging or replanting, you just pull the fencing off of the posts and then you can put it back on when you're ready to use it. Another issue I've had with my dogs is they're digging under the fence to get out. And of course you can put rocks under the fence to deal with that. But what I found works best is to use pieces of this fencing again, but this time I put it flat on the ground. I trimmed the grass really short and pin this to the ground with long soil staples, and that way the grass comes up through. It's very easy for me to weed eat along the fences, but the dogs can't go in. And I actually extended on either side of the fence so that way dogs from the outside can't be digging under the fence to get in, or your neighbor's dogs can't dig under either. So that works really well. I've even used leftover pieces like this that are only 12 inches tall as an armadillo fence, and it actually worked pretty well to keep the dillos out of the yard. So you can make your garden still look great and keep your dogs happy as well, just with a little extra work.